So, for those of you that read the biog, I'm from the European CIO Association and I'm their Director of Executive Education, and I'm going to be talking about the demand side of the e-leadership side of things. So, the European CIO Association, for those of you that are not familiar with us, we're a not-for-profit association of CIOs from leading organisations around Europe. We have our own direct members. We're also linked with the various national body organisations in each of the territories. So we have Tibor here today from the Hungarian Association. We have relationships with the CIOs forums in Holland, in Germany, in France. So through all of those relationships, we have access to 600 plus organisations, I think over 700 now. So we represent the demand side, the industry side, and we're involved in various EC projects to bring that experience and that knowledge to the projects that we work on. As I've said, today we're going to be looking at the demand side. So from those boxes we looked at earlier, we're representing industry and what our needs are. Now, there are some great bits of work, some studies from Empirica that talk about the skills shortfall, and they present various scenarios. But as we've talked about today, there are certainly large numbers of skills that we will see our industries and organisations needing in the coming years. And so we're very, very keen to make sure that those skills are developed. And so one of the things that we wanted to get involved in was how we can link with the academic institutions, with the training organisations, to make sure that the skills that we need are coming through from all those individuals that they're training. So I'm going to look at it from three particular areas. I'm going to be looking at the skills that we need, build on that, the content the programmes need to include for us to be happy that we're getting that matching, and then of course the programmes themselves and some of the ones that we put together as part of our executive education programme. In terms of the skills we need, we didn't want to look any further than the e-competence framework. There's a very, very good framework already in place within Europe. Andre Richer, if he was here, is certainly a big fan. It's a very comprehensive run-through of all the profiles, the roles that we need within our organisation and the skills needed to develop those roles, to have very competent individuals. It can be, higher level, so there's clearly some lower level detail that you as an organisation can add. So it's very customisable, lends itself to being tailored, but we think it's a great starting point. And so as part of this work, we made sure the competence framework was a core component of our curriculum profiles. So positioning our education programme. Now we put together this model based around a pyramid in terms of the people within our own organisations. So at the top, that's the CIO, that's the person responsible for marshalling and managing the ICT resources within the organisation. At the next level down, that's their direct report, so the heads of the enterprise architects, the senior people responsible for service delivery, for project development, for application development. And then below that, then we have the real coalface workers. And so we pitched our education program across those three levels. Now, the lower level is met very much by the training course providers. These are the technical skills, the lower level technical skills that people need. So we tended not to look at that. And as this entire program is looking at e-leadership, it was much more around the ones that helm ICT, responsible for making strategic direction for that and making sure that they're aligning it with the business to make sure that ICT drives those industries forward. We looked at our own members, we talked about what their particular skills needs were, and we used that to start planning and looking at those programs that really addressed the skills shortfalls that we had. So the three areas that we looked at initially were our own CIOs and our aspirational CIOs, the people coming through that will be helming the ICT function within our organisation. So we looked at the training and the skills they would need to become e-leaders. We looked at our direct reports then, so the heads of function I talked about, and the e-leadership programs they would need. So the three profiles that we started with were innovation and transformation through ICT, and that's very much aimed at our CIOs, and it's reflected in programs such as MBAs, such as the one that Henley does, which is the one that I was an alumni from, which very much looks to train in those skills and those abilities. At the next level down, the two profiles we focused on were business enterprise architects, and I'll be talking about a program we do in that area shortly, and information security governance, and that's another profile that's very important to us, and we have a program coming up that'll be looking at cybersecurity and information security management. but very much, as I say, focused on the e-leadership side. So those high-level skills, those high-level abilities and competencies that our senior managers need. Business Enterprise Architecture, that's our flagship program, and it's one that we're very proud of. We teach it across 3 business schools: Henley Business School in the UK, TIAS School for Business and Society in the Netherlands, and the Technical University of Munich. And that program is 9 modules taught across a year and a half, and it's a truly pan-European program, and it builds on the strengths of those academic universities and business schools, but we've made sure that it meets the needs that we have to develop e-leader enterprise architects, the ones that our organisations really need to be matching ICT skills and technology with the business demands and drivers for strategy. I won't go into this program into much more detail. We're fortunate to have Professor Sharman Wani here, and he'll be talking later, so I'm sure there'll also be some attention to the program there. But yeah, very, very much one that builds on this e-leadership and the use of curriculum profiles to match the skills that we need with what the academic world can deliver. So as it said there, true partnership. It was a challenge getting 3 business schools to work close together with us. It took a while for us to understand each other, but it's worked fabulously well. We're very proud to have those business schools as partners for us. And we love the fact that it's, as I say, a true pan-European activity. So the participants do 3 modules in each of those business schools, and they move around and alternate. So they'll do 1 module at Henley. We have a new cohort starting next month, and so they'll all be going to their first session in October, and I'll be there to welcome them on board with the program. And then moving on through subsequent modules at TIAS and at TUM. And everything we wanted to do as part of the EuroCIO education program was about continually evolving, continuous learning. So we wanted to make sure that our programs are current, stay up to date, and I'll come on to how we use the curriculum profile to make that happen. One of the things that the European Commission liked about our program and how we operate it was our approach to governance. As I've said, what we were trying to do was make sure that we match the demands of industry with the abilities and skills and heritage of our academic institutions to make sure that the programs that they were coming up with would very much match our demands. And so we have a very simple organisation structure in terms of managing it. We have our own HR and Education Council, which is a subgroup of the European CIO Association membership. And these are those CIOs that have a real interest in e-skills, in some of the things we've been talking about as part of the agenda today. But at the next level down, we have these design boards. And the one I'm going to focus on there is the Programme Design Board. Now that brings together the academic directors from these business schools and universities, but it also brings together real-world practitioners. So for our Enterprise Architecture program, it's working enterprise architects from some of our organisations. So from the likes of Daimler, from Bayer, we bring enterprise architects to sit round the table with the academic institutions to make sure we have that match, we have that alignment. As we'll see later when Birgit talks through it, the curriculum profile is the tool that we use to facilitate that conversation. So what are some of the activities and actions that we're currently doing? Well, we're working as part of the GUIDE programme, as Werner said, to look at this matching for large organisations. And yes, by definition, we tend to represent large companies throughout Europe. We also have an interest in small to medium-sized enterprises, so we will clearly be contributing some of what we do to the LEAD programme, because some of our larger organisations are in fact a federation of small companies anyway. So they operate and work as small businesses in the territories in which they operate. So there's things that we can usefully contribute to how they match the skills they need with what the training programme providers and business schools and academic institutions can provide. We've officially endorsed those 3 profiles that I talked about. Information transformation through ICT, aimed at our CIOs. The Business Enterprise Architecture Programme, as evidenced by our Business Enterprise Architecture Professional Programme, and Information Security Governance. Now, we will continue to develop more and more profiles for some of those other functions that we feel we also need to be making sure we have a solid foundation of training to develop these staff. So it could be program management, it could be service delivery. So more of these will come along in future, but for now we're focusing on just those first 3. And yes, I talked about our BEA program. We launch a new cohort in October. We've had some fabulous response for that. We have some organisations that are very keen to put participants on. Daimler are now up to, I think, 7 people on that programme. So, you know, if your organisations are looking to develop enterprise architects, please look no further than our own programme. But speak to us as well, because, you know, we're working closely to make sure that we match our programme with the demands of industry as well. So that's very, very key. And I think that's probably me coming to a conclusion. I really want to just set the scene. So curriculum profiles, our vehicle, our mechanism for making sure we match industry demand with what the academic institutions can provide, and building on the strengths of both. I think that's important, if I haven't mentioned that. We don't want to constrain the academic institutions because they have a heritage, they have a skills base they've developed, they have research expertise. We want to make sure we build on that. So we don't want anything that's, if I can use the phrase, vanilla. We don't want to just churn out programs that are uniquely, sorry, not unique, but very much identical to each other. We want to make sure that we get the best that academia can provide with the stringent demands that we have, get that matching and make sure we're developing people that really help drive our organisations forward, and of course match that to the digital agenda and make sure we drive Europe forward in terms of being competitive on the world stage. So hopefully that's, as I've said, set the scene, and we'll be looking at curriculum profiles in detail shortly. Thank you.
Hello everybody, my name is Ferenc Alföldi. I'm CIO of Takarék Bank, which is a small bank in Hungary. And actually I've spent my 20 years of career in banking and IT. And I'm very happy to be here to share with you some of my thoughts about, you know, the industry demand for e-leaders. I think this morning was really great. So I learned a lot, you know, how EU, you know, tries to kind of accelerate leadership, e-leadership skills, development of e-leadership skills, and so on. And being for a long time in this industry, I'm really thrilled. Actually, I think this is the right word, that, you know, the CIO from the machine room can elevate to the boardroom and back and forth. And I lived early time of my career, you know, IT was called EDP in many places, you know, electronic data processing, which is, you know, it's a pretty kind of industrial something. And now we are talking about e-businesses, digitization. So time has changed a lot. Time changed really big in the past, you know, 20 years regarding IT. And thank you, Martin, of your thoughts about Bruce Lee. I think it was very inspiring. And actually, I started to think that the e-leaders of old ages were not really kind of Bruce Lee type of fighters, but were more like sumo wrestlers. Yeah. So because why? Why? Because actually. And I am one of them, or I used to be one of them. You know, if they wanted food, they got everything, you know. So we went to the boardroom, guys, we need $2 million for a project. Okay, you get it. So we got a lot of food, and we gained a lot of fat during the times. And another thing in sumo wrestling is like, you know, the fight is really about, you know, pushing other guys out of the ring, of the circle. And the internal IT was like, well, the same. You know, I'm the IT guy. I decide, you guys out of the circle. So fighting for monopoly, for internal monopoly. So that was a very important part of the past ages, you know, of being a CIO. So of course we have to change, we have to lose weight, we have to kind of catch up with the times, and you know, and some of us maybe successful in this change, some of us not. There will be new guys coming from the school, we hope, with new ideas, with Bruce Lee type of ideas, not this sumo wrestler type of ideas of IT. I'm supposed to tell something about the industry demand of financial industry. I spent 20 years in banking and insurance. Please allow me to be a little bit critical about my industry. So I think, you know, if we compare banking with other industries in terms of digitization, we are a little bit behind. Why? So, like, you know, retail, airliners, you know, hotels provide great digital customer experience for the customers. So customers go online, do shopping seamlessly, book hotel rooms, book flights, you know, shop and enjoy the digital age. In banking, you know, I think we lost a little bit of speed. So in banking, we saw some major e-banking type of initiatives. Some of them were really successful, like, you know, ING Direct, which became a textbook example of you know, digital experience in banking. But some of them, you know, went down the drain. So so very mixed results. So and we can see only very few real breakthroughs in terms of digitization in banking. For the banks, digitization is, you know, was a kind of a facelift. You know, while we upgraded our e-banking system, you know, with it's more user-friendly, you know, it's more interactive. So it's like, you know, we put lipstick on the pig sometimes. So, you know, lipstick looks great, but it's still, you know, fat and big. And in the background, banks, you know, are still complex and really expensive. So we need to catch up in banking. Well, top reasons and excuses for being late in this digitization. One of them is the narrow scope. So as I told you, just focusing on the front end. And some of the decision makers in the banks and the CIOs didn't understand that, you know, we need a kind of a full digital experience of, you know, starting from the front and going through the fulfilling and the servicing process. So it was not real, some of the banks really didn't understand, you know, some of the challenges of the times. Compliance with regulations took too many resources. Yeah, banks, you know, didn't have too many resources to work on digitization. You know, especially after 2008 crisis, you know, almost all of the resources, of the IT resources, especially in Hungary, but maybe in the US as well, just trying to kind of meet with the expectations of the regulators. I know many of you are from Hungary. You know that the parliament and our government is pretty active in kind of putting more burden on the banks in terms of taxes, but also on kind of you know, this other type of regulations, reporting, control. So I tell you, my IT department in the bank, you know, my IT guys, 90% booked by the government just to meet with the regulatory requirements of the government. So it's pretty difficult to talk about, you know, digitization, improving customer experience, because we don't have resources, actually. Risks and security concerns, banks always said, guys, it's too risky, go to the internet, we have all kind of issues, anti-money laundering problems, all kind of stuff. And it was a good excuse, actually. Well, we should not do it. This is a kind of danger zone for us. Okay, we do something. We do things, to improve security, like one-time passwords or, two-factor authentication, this kind of stuff. But it still was a good excuse. Why it's too risky? We don't go to this area. Another, airline industry was pretty successful with, coping with this type of problems. So now, if you go, you get a full digital experience when you book a flight, actually, and even on the airport. So you don't even need to meet a person, a living person, to book your trip and arrive to the destination. Another reason, and this is my experience, really, that the banking industry is failing to attract top talents in many respects. So, IT, role of IT in a bank, previously was more like, well, we know we need IT, but we don't really like you. So IT was not the core business and is not the core business of a bank. So an IT guy used to be always a kind of a second-class citizen in the banks. And they don't get, as high salaries as the business guys, of course. And also, the banking industry is really, fighting for talent with other industries. And really the top IT guys go for the top IT companies, not for the top banks. And this is a problem. Okay, just what banks need to do, in order to move forward in digitization and the digital transformation. And I told you, I think I see 3 areas which are pretty critical for the banks to move forward, to improve the services. One is the migration of the front-end activity to digital channels. I think it happens, but we are still not there. There is a kind of old rule of thumb in front-end digitization. So cost of a transaction, if the client goes to a branch, it's $100. If he uses the call center, it's $1. And if he uses the internet, it's 10 cents. So this is the kind of the range we are talking about in terms of cost in front-end activity digitization. But I told you this is not enough. We have to look at the back and the end-to-end processes. And I think really banks need to improve a lot in process optimization and process digitization, both on the fulfilling side and the servicing side. The complexity of processes are really driving the complexity of IT in banking. So we don't need only guys who can implement workflows, and electronic document management systems, but we need guys who are really good in processes, process optimization, Lean, Six Sigma, all kind of stuff. I believe that most of the banks are still not really understand the importance of reducing complexity on the process side in order to improve customer experience. And the third big area which banks need to focus, and they have a huge amount of customer data, and how we have to find out how the bankers use this data, this big data, to improve customer experience through segmentation and more accurate customer targeting. Okay, I try to kind of list of the most wanted skills, e-leadership skills for banks, and what I see, what kind of technology and leadership skills we would need to move forward on the way of digitization. On the technology side, I told you that's the business process design and optimization. Simplification of processes, leaning processes, and implementing the processes through the workflows and imaging and digital other tools of digitization. BI, business intelligence. We need technology skills who can be these skills to leverage the data what we have, to understand better our clients, improve decision-making process. That was also a point today, that how we speed up the decision-making process. So business intelligence, technology skills, very, very difficult to find on the market. And the third one is a kind of, I put it this way, that customer experience design and integration with digital environment. So how we integrate with social networks, with the whole environment in terms of digital environment, both on the internet and other areas, and how we design a good, easy customer experience for the bank's customer. In terms of leadership, designing a digital enterprise, I think it's very much different from a traditional brick and mortar enterprise. I think banks address this problem with an approach that they set up fully separated divisions or companies for their e-banking initiatives. But some of the management techniques, they imported from the old way, from the old school. So really, I think in terms of leadership, we would need people who can really understand the specifics of how to manage, how to design a digital enterprise. Project delivery. It links to the third bullet point as well. So our working environment should dramatically change. Actually, in many industries, it's already changed. So what is the environment we are working now in many industries? Like, it's no office, everything is a project, collaboration everywhere, anytime. So this is a new way of working. You have to work people on remote locations across time zones. Practically no office. A laptop is the office. And we are like digital nomads, just we are going everywhere, sitting down and working. And everything is a project. So there are no kind of functional organizations anymore. There are some, maybe in some sense, yes, but just we take people, good people, and allocate to them to projects. And we have to work in this environment that we manage very well, the projects. And of course, we have to manage this change with the existing stuff. So change management, kind of how we create, a vision for the staff in existing environments in banking, and how we drive this change through on the existing stuff. So this was my view on this conference, and the industry demands what based on my experience. So thank you for your attention.
What we consider and what we deal with is the organizational development. This is our focus. And from this focus point, I try to gather the most important findings of the recent 20 years that we made. And I will try to make a short summary of how we imagine the future, the near future, where we will have to prepare the people for. And on the other side, I try to find the most important skills that we try to teach in order to prepare people for the upcoming challenges. So these are the two focus points. And as I'm not a professional, it's very much my understanding on how things will go on this IT side, right? My professional focus is the human side, and this is what I will deal with mainly. So I don't know how many of you have watched the Jeopardy, the TV show in the US. Have you seen that, Jeopardy? Yeah. This is a TV game show created by Mary Griffin. And the TV show presents the contestants presenting their general know-how and knowledge in clues. And suddenly, IBM appeared and nominated a computer in this game. Have you seen that? It was amazing. It was amazing. A computer started to compete with humans, not just on data-based issues, like you find certain data for certain answers, but there were really associative questions as well. So they had to build a certain network of concepts where they will have to find the solution very fast. So I will just show a few seconds from this competition, how it went on and what happened.
You know, when you look at that stage, you see Cannon and Brad and Watson, and there's 30 people standing behind Watson, and that's just the core team. There's a whole army of people that have helped make this happen. Here we go. Once we got into the game, what was nerve-wracking, frankly? Brad, if you're ready, make your first choice. Let's take alternate meanings for 200, Alex. 4-letter word for a vantage point or a belief. Brad, what is a view? Yes.
After the first clue of the game, which Brad won, I had just this horrible feeling at that moment that he was as good as everyone said he was, and he was just going to run the whole board on us.
Alternate meanings 400. 4-letter word for the iron fitting on the hoof of a horse or a card dealing box in a casino. Watson, what is it? You are right. We actually took the lead. We were ahead of them, but then we started getting some questions wrong. Watson?
So humans and the computer competing on general knowledge and know-how, and how it develops. The human brain is still amazingly fast and delivering the questions time to time better and faster than the computer itself. Can you hear the voice of the video? Kind of? Sort of?
Brad, who is Robert De Niro? Correct. That was an awful category because Watson got every single one right. It was just a little too slow. Ken, who's Denzel Washington? You got him. Ken and Brad were getting the answer in a second. Rocky 2, 3, and 4. Brad, who is Sylvester Stallone? Correct. Even with 2,800 chords, it took us 2.5 seconds or 3 seconds, and that just gives you a sense of how incredible the human brain is, how quickly you could understand the category, what's being asked, boom, and get the answer.
So amazingly fast, the human brain and the computer competing. But at the end, I don't know whether you have followed that competition, but what happens in the end is this.
Watson, who is Brad Stover and the Laser. Hello, 17,973 and a two-day total of 77,147.
So the computer won the game. And why is it so important and exciting for us as human developers, as we work with the organizations and people? Because if you show this to certain people, they will get frightened. Frightened. So what will the computer be able to do? How will the computer change our lives and what we do at our workplace? So it's fine that we architecture and build these new solutions, fine. But where is the human part, and how will you deal with that human part? So this is kind of a future or already present. But what if you combine this kind of artificial intelligence, this system, with emotions? Because you have already certain softwares and applications which are able to detect the human emotions, feelings, right? If you just follow the Google Glass, of course you do, then you see how it recognizes the facial expressions and reads it and shows which expressions that certain person shows, right? Or there are certain applications which are detecting the emotions through your voice as you speak. What if you combine the two? You will have an amazingly fast system, a computer talking with you, bringing the best solutions, not as your field force, Salesforce, for example, who know just a few products really well. The computer will deliver the best solution, and it will listen and be aware of your emotions for the same time. So whom are we competing with, and where is the human factor in this game? IBM just recently announced that Watson, because this was a few years ago, is debate ready. Debate ready means that it's not just listening and answering questions on a human voice, but is able to run a debate with you. And as my friends were watching this movie, I don't know whether you have seen that, the movie Her, where the guy falls in love with his system, operation system. Interesting movie. So if you would like to just get an insight of what certain people think of the future, this is an exciting movie. So how will we deal with that challenge? That people certainly get frightened time to time. And you have to convince them as you implement this system and the new solutions. How will you win them for these opportunities? What we experienced, and now I will start to talk short about our experiences and what we made and found on the field. First of all, what makes people on the long run happy and satisfied and successful, these three things, according to the longitudinal research, are two things, two simple things. The one is emotional intelligence. So they know how to deal with their own feelings and with the feelings of others. One. Second, persistence, that they can keep going on and running and trying in certain things where they have faith or passion, something that they think is really important. So two things that make people happy, satisfied, and successful. And as you would like to build a strong team, you have to be very much aware of these factors, and you have to be very much focused on these factors. But there are certain other factors as well. I just listed a few. These are from different researches, where these researchers claim that these are the most important things that the students and the leaders nowadays should gain as knowledge and practice. And certain people claim that technology becomes the most important competitiveness factor. Which is partially true, because if you innovate and invent certain technologies, that's a huge challenge, and for the same time you gain a lot. So it's a competitive edge. On the other side, as you would like to implement or apply certain technologies within your system and organization, you will have difficulties which all of you know and experience already. And as we deal with these difficulties, we face the same claim from the 18th century as the English textile industry found the huge opportunity of labor-saving machinery, steel machinery. And what happened? What happened? Most importantly, people started to destroy these machinery, employees, laborers. And the same thing happens now. Just give you a very short case from our practice. A big company called us, global company, and told that they will support their people with certain electric devices on the field, which collects the data and streams back into the central, so it's a very clever tool. And this will help and support their performance. The people will make more, will gain more. So it's a good deal. What happened, the cost started to increase, the service costs. Because these electric devices, they were fallen into the water. They were broken. Somehow the system wasn't working really well. They did not have the coverage or whatever happened, so they always had certain problems. People tried to destroy the machinery, tried to destroy the opportunity, because this was not their opportunity, it was not sold. This was the opportunity of the owners of the management, not theirs, right? It was pure control. They were controlled by this machinery. This was their experience. So our challenge was to work with that challenge to make people understand that this is an opportunity for them and they can work better and they can gain more. But this is not just something that you state and claim in front of the people. You have to make them understand and help them understand. So the human factor is crucial as you would like to implement these technologies and you would like to win the game. From an organizational perspective, the most important fields where we work and we gain the experiences from. And the three challenges and opportunities that we found are most useful. And this is the last slide. First and foremost is the interface question. Many companies, and mainly IT, is fighting with this interface problem, and many have different solutions for that. Interface problem for IT means very often, or appears very clearly on specifications. Not well done specifications, misunderstandings, reinventions, and you know these kind of circles. But the interface question is a question of people understanding each other and functions in understanding each other also. So the organizational design, as you highlighted in your former lecture, I think it's crucial how you operate and build your organization in these cases. Certain organizations, what they try to do and started to do is that they do not separate the different functions in job descriptions or design. They do not talk about sales, who sells everything, right? The stars also are promised. Then you have the architecture, the planners who have to build the whole system and plan, and they are always sweating because it's so difficult that is promised there for this price. It's amazingly difficult, but then you get the delivery who are not able to deliver, and you pay the penalty, just giving one example. So they started, some of the organizations started to shift the functions, the different job designs in between, on the interfaces. So certain people are responsible for sales and architecture, partially the architecture. Certain people are responsible for the architecture and partially for the delivery. And this is one experiment that is just running on. So interface is a crucial problem and question. Flexibility and entrepreneurship. Flexibility can be measured. What do we measure as we measure the flexibility of a certain organization? We measure we call it energy level, the readiness of the organization, and you can see on the map the different divisions and functions, how much they are and how far they are ready to take new challenges, initiatives, or how far are they already overwhelmed with these kind of changes. Or the second thing that you can measure, and it's measurable. The second thing that you can measure is the competency of the organization in this kind of implementations and change. What we usually measure is the leadership, the structure, the experiences on this field, network research within the organization that help us a lot. And the third one is the strategy implementation, the cascading within the organization. How far do people understand why do you introduce these changes, so many changes? Why do you offer these solutions, these tools to them? And what we saw, it's a very simple experiment, let's say. So you talk to the leaders, talk to the CXO leaders. Ask them, what's your strategy? In best case, you will get a short description, certain points, most important focus points. Rarely you get to them. But if you get them, and if they are aligned on those questions, then go to the shop floor, to the people, or into the offices, and ask people, what is the strategy of this company, and what is your own role in it? How can you drive the performance of this company? And if you see a widespread of answers, if you see a huge distance of what the leaders told you and what these people are talking about, then you have a cascading and implementation problem. And then it's worth to talk to the people and work on this kind of implementation process, because people won't buy your solutions or new technology if they do not understand how this new technology serves the strategy and their own performance in a better way. Thank you very much for 15 minutes. And I just wish you that you will find the best solutions. I think we all are working on the same issue here. Thank you.
Okay, the question was how to measure emotional intelligence on face detection in this context. Charles, I can share with you that here at this school, some MBA students did actually a project how a Hungarian company which made voice recognition, which is a bit more familiar for us, used it as an emotional detection. So the question is, computer assisting people in these shared service centers on the phone to indicate when the person is actually, on the other end, moving from the green zone, getting nervous, so the tone goes up, the pitch goes up, the speed goes up, and this is sort of an indicator on the screen along emotional intelligence. I don't know about that, but the company, we can get into it. It's a nuanced recognitor, and you know it. Okay. Your friend. Okay, next question, please. Yes, I'll come around. If you can introduce yourself with a few words. Thank you.
I'm Zoltán Istenes from Eötvös Loránd University. I'm from EITI Street Labs also. I'm a big fan of Watson and artificial intelligence, but I think there is one point is missing from one of your slides. It was be emotional intelligent, be persistent. I think one is missing is creativity, because I think that actual computers can do a lot of things with huge knowledge base and a lot of computation, so they can do a lot of things in this term. But to be creative, to go forward, it's much difficult, because they can run a company, I think, easily, learning from past things and looking actual things, but to see that if it's a new product will be good or not, to go to the market or not. So this is real and difficult decision to creative, innovative, to do innovation in company. I think it's still a few years ahead. Thank you.
It was listed in the small, with the small letters, and I very much agree.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so the point was creativity, an evergreen ingredient into e-leadership. Okay. Is there any thought where you would disagree with something which has been raised and you would like to bring into the discussion? Can you please press your and hold it?
Hi, so my name is Laurent Roux. I work also for EIT, the headquarters in Budapest. I have just a general remark, maybe a question to some of the speakers. It's about the time lag between the the demand and the supply side of what we've been talking about today? How do you make sure that you get feedback from the demand side into the supply side, and you accelerate this so that you produce supply with a better quality and a better match for what the market is looking for?
Right. So this is an open question to actually not only the speakers but anybody here involved in this on a daily basis. How do you accelerate the feedback loops on the demand side? Who would like to bring in some of the comments? How do you do it at your organization? You have said that you have serious and considerable experience in that field.
What we don't have in IT is really time. And really, the business always wants everything now and as quick as possible. That's why it's very difficult to make the decision, just about what you have kind of internally as a knowledge, and what you need to outsource, or what is really you would like to buy from the market. So that's why it relates to the question very much, because you as the IT leader of a company, you have to understand the business requirements and you have to provide the right answers to that. But you don't have time to kind of get the right people on board, get them on time, and actually you don't have really money to keep a team on board. That's why you have to build up a skill. How you do your projects, how you operate your environment, and how you manage your vendors, how you source your projects. That's why it's also a very important skill. But what is really important is you have to decide which skills, which type of knowledge you need internally in a bank, and how you manage those resources. So you have to identify really your critical knowledge and skills. What is critical, I think, internally is really a sort of a kind of an architect type of knowledge, architecture type of knowledge. That's why the presentation of Euro CIO was, I think, was very straight on the point. This is something which is critical, which is really helps you to react to your business requirement very much. And also very important is the architecture is controlling the content of your project, but you need to control somehow the delivery of the project. So that's why program management is the other, I think, really critical stuff in IT, what you have to have in-house. And the rest, practically, you should go to the market and buy it from the market. So back to your question, I think what is really important to make a decision, that what is long-term, what is critical to keep inside, and for the other skills, you have to go to the market and find the right people for the right companies to deliver to you. That's my thoughts on the subject.
Okay, thank you very much. There are two more comments here in the front.
There are too many distorters in this process, in the sense that the company talks through their HR department, and the university or the provider talks by their business developer department. It's not a direct communication in the demand between consumer and producer. It's two parties that have sometimes very little idea about what's it all about. I mean, in this feedback loop. And I think you have a brilliant opportunity with ICT tools to become much more direct, I mean, in this type of communication. Take, for example, I mean, I think many HR departments in my country discover that they are not involved in the recruitment process. In reality, it's all been done by LinkedIn contacts. When they start interviewing, I mean, the person for the job is selected, I mean, through the personal networks. So I think this is a very, very, very different world we're entering in this case. Then another comment on, I mean, this Watson algorithm. I really love it. I mean, one should also be aware of that the algorithm used for Jeopardy is a much tougher one and very different work as we compare to the chess game, which is a much simpler one. Sometimes I think we lack a better understanding of the psychology in this. We are a bit technocrats. I mean, when I see the listing of skills, it goes sometimes from typing to creativity. And I think if you're going to have a deeper understanding on creativity and higher order skills, we should spend some more time with psychologists. I think they have a bit to give us in that case.
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe you want to add something to this point as well. We've been nodding to each other because I know that working in the organizational development, working with HR people, we feel this on the other side very often as well, that skills and topics are described from the business inside, very different and translated by the HR to our language, what their language is. And their language is not the same as our languages. What were your thoughts when you heard this?
My thoughts or experiences, I just talked to some of my friends in the US and in Germany. And they are working in HR, in high positions. And what they claim is that previous times people came to them to ask how much the salary is, how much they will earn. They do not do that anymore. They go to Glassdoor and they ask other people. And recently they started to ask their colleagues and peers on certain issues. And to build up the opportunity to build up certain closed loops, I would call that, within the system and get the feedback much faster than you gain it and very much distracted often. That would be a great opportunity. I don't know how, because you are the experts and you know that much better than me. What I see as an example, for example, in certain pharmaceutical companies as they run their closed-loop marketing system, which is with the customers, right, the outside players. They can change the mix very fast, the product mix. As they did it in 3 months, they do it in 3 weeks, because they gain the information, the necessary information to decide these kind of things. And if that could be the case within the organization and with these innovations, I think that's an incredible host issue as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Charles, you had a comment as well.
I would make two very quick comments. First of all, nobody mentioned here of why do you do all of this stuff is that you make money. That's what people are interested in. I've been in, I think, 60 some odd companies in Hungary in the last 20 years investing. And the key question always is, what can I produce if I get involved with this enterprise? Recognita was one. We invested $800,000. 3 years later, sold it for $3 million. The second point that I really want to make is you have to decide with each investment how frequently you're going to meet with them. One of the things I've learned is that, for example, Viterra was another company. We made 58% IRR. I don't know how many of you know what IRR is. That's the annual return. And you have to start out to have a meeting once a week till you got the communication started that you agreed with what the CEO said he was going to do and what the marketing guy said they were going to do. Eventually, when you get into a larger business like General Electric, when I was a vice president in the U.S., you do the damn thing once a month. You try to have less, because you got several businesses you got to do it with, so you don't want to meet with them once a week. But that's very important that this stuff can't be calibrated in advance. You really have to get involved in a specific situation before you can make the judgment of how we're going to fix that. I just thought that might be useful.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's, of course, I mean, it's good to make money, and you do that by increasing productivity in some way. I think what we are seeing, though, is we're going to have trouble because for other reasons, and that is, well, since I'm into business school, there is a rather well-known economist, William Baumol, who had written on productivity and what's happening when sectors that have a drive towards productivity because of profit coexist with sectors that don't have a drive to productivity for different reasons. And then you say all sectors must have that, but if you look at healthcare, they do not have that drive. If you look at education, they do not have that drive. I mean, an education situation is the same for hundreds of years. I mean, right. If you look at banks, they don't have that drive either. I mean, all the time, because there are so many restrictions built into public restrictions built into the system. So, how we're going to handle this situation will be sort of a problem. You can see it in education, since you cannot handle the productivity in education. What happened in US, the tuition fees goes up sky high, because that's the only way they just increase the price on the product, and in the end no one can buy it. In Europe we have free education, so we tax instead, and so the taxes goes up, or instead you make classes bigger. So I think what we're gonna see is how do we balance the sectors not having productivity increases obvious with the other ones. And I think here ICT will be a fantastic opportunity, because you can increase productivity in education by ICT in very, very concretely. You can do it in healthcare by self-diagnosis and other things very, very concretely. And as you heard, you can do it in banks, I mean, if you use ICT. So I think ICT will become some sort of a saving a system a bit that's on its way to explode.
Okay, thank you very much for this very deep comments as well.